Okay, back for turn 3, and we're getting closer to some shooting and actual contact between the two sides here. They've moved up close to the town, and both sides have spotted each other fairly regularly here, but we'll check to see that some spots will be lost here in the spotting phase. But some of them will still be retained on here. So let's get to it. First thing is the spotting phase. So we'll take a look at the French and who are spotted over here. So this H-39 right here, or the group of H-39s right here, they're still spotted from the Panzer III over here on the side. But the Panzer III cannot see the other group that are over in the hex right beside of it. They can't see it, it's blocked right there. So they'll actually lose the spot because they can't be spotted by the Panzer III's over here as well. So I'm going to just take his spot off. Here we go. Okay, spot fire. Come on. There we go. Okay. So now they are unspotted, so they lose their spotting at that point. Now the units behind the hedge right here, those will go unspotted as well. Because they are behind the hedge. Okay. So they're okay. They're okay. And the last one down here is the French heavy machine guns. And they are still spotted by the Panzers over here, Panzer III's in the town. They will have the range on them. They're moving as well, so that'll give them, they'll retain the spotting. So now let's look reverse. Let's see what the Germans look like. So reciprocal spotting over here with the Panzer III. The H-38s can see him. The infantry, the full cover infantry, they're in the house, or houses, I should say, over here. So that'll lower their spotting, but because the tanks are right next to the houses there, they will essentially be able to spot them, even if they're down to a 1 spotting range. So they retain their spotting. The half tracks behind, they will lose their spotting because there's nobody that can see them. We'll take that off. Same with the infantry in the middle of the town. They will lose their spotting because they can't be seen. We've got reciprocal spotting from the heavy machine guns to the Panzer III's. And then the other Hanomag behind everything, he'll lose his spot marker off here as well because he's well behind everything. So there's our spotting phase. So let's move on to our command phase. Now the Germans will get 5 commands. So let me place those for the Germans. Now in this case, I think what I'm going to do is do a short halt for him. Over here, I'm actually going to do a move command over here for them. So that's 2 out of the 5 that I have. Everybody's in range, so there's nothing in concern about command span here. I'm not using that because this is such a small play. We will do a move over here for the Hanomag behind here so we can capture the other hex. So that's 3. And then we have 2 more that we can place. So I think what I'm going to do is a fire command for these guys to try to take a shot on the tanks, maybe disrupt them a little bit, stun them. And then we're going to do an overwatch command for these guys here, and then I'm going to take a no command for the half tracks over here. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but we'll see how it is. So now let's go over to the French. Remember, they're cautious, so we're going to roll on the tables and see what their commands are. Let's start with the heavy machine guns down here. We'll do a roll on them. So they've got a 29. We'll go back to our tables over here. 29, they're cautious, so that's going to be a -10. So that's going to be a 19 on the the attack table, so they're going to move. So they're going to get a move command. Add that on there. Then we will move up. Now we've got two separate groups here. We've got the infantry and the tanks, basically the platoon of French infantry, and then the H-38s there with it. So we'll roll for each. We'll first do the platoon. 25 minus 10, 15. They're going to have a move command as well. And then the tanks will roll for those. 19, they'll have a move command as well, so we'll toss another move command over there. The H-38 right here, these two, we'll see. Now this is going to get tricky because I may need to override that depending upon the roll, because we've got a number of things going on here. So we'll evaluate that here after I do the roll. So do the roll a 12. So that's a move command. Okay. So now this becomes a question. Do I want to save that or not? Because he's right next door to the Germans. He can spot them. He can fire on them right there. But the other alternative over here is the fact that this Panzer III over here has a bearing on him and can take a shot. So we can see them over there as well, and he's also going to be getting fire over here from them as well. Now in this case, I think I'll retain it because the threat is really from this Panzer III over here, as well as a possible threat to the infantry on here as well. Now the infantry is going to stay put because they're in a victory hex. Now they could assault them as well, but that's kind of dangerous with two tanks and being in open terrain and so forth. A bit dangerous for them. So we retain the move command for them. I could do a short halt. That's another option because they are on the attack. So actually, I'm gonna delete that, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna put a short halt on there. That'll give them a chance to actually take a shot at the infantry, and then still get some bonus to avoid the tank shooting over there. Okay, let's move on to the last one. These other H-38s. And they're going to get a move here as well. Now that's going to be legit because they can't spot anybody, so I can't really change them at all because they're not spotting anybody to be able to fire. Okay, so there we have it. We've got a couple of move commands. We've got a couple fire commands through short halts and a fire, and then move commands for everybody else. All right. So that basically takes care of our command phase. Let's move on to the initiative phase. This is where I'm going to get a plus 10. Remember, I'm rolling a dice against a fixed number of 50 for the French. And I roll a 54 plus 10, 64. So I retain the ability to choose either first or second movement on here. Now this gets a little interesting. What do I want to do here? Because if I fire first, that means I move second. And if I move second, that could potentially allow the French to actually move up and capture this victory hex right there, which I'm not really thrilled about because the tank can move up in there and just kind of sit there. I mean, obviously he's going to be fired upon by everything, but at least that gives them some sort of control over that. And then they can potentially move up the infantry can potentially move up and occupy the well, which becomes a little bit more dangerous, particularly in fighting in town there. So I think I'm actually going to pass it over because I could actually run my tanks in there or run the infantry in there from this other moving Hennemag in the back, and I could move them up. They bail out into their town, and they would occupy it, blocking them. So I think I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be my best play on there. I'm going to take the second player, with the first player go over to the French. So the French are going to start off shooting. Their only shot is with the H-38s over here. All right. So let's figure out who they are going to shoot at. Now, if we look at our solo cards over here, and look at our fire actions. We've got most dangerous, um, friendly nearest unit, nearest friendly unit, and weakest nearest friendly unit. Now, in this case, doing some calculations on this, the most dangerous, these two are both kind of equally dangerous and equally weak at the same time. In terms of shooting at them, they're going to be the easiest one to shoot at. And actually, I can't shoot at these guys over here, now that I think of it, because the turret is facing forward, not over to the 1 o'clock position there to be able to fire on them. So they will only take a shot on there. So I don't even need to roll on the table because I can't turn the turret till the movement or the adjustment phase. So they will shoot at them. So those are going to be the H-39s or 38s, excuse me. So that a range at 1, so they're definitely point blank. They're going to be firing with 2, and they're going to get the coax modifier because they are firing at point blank range. So they're going to be 2 on there. Now the German infantry squad here, they are sitting in a, let's just take a look at a brick building. So they're going to start out at 6, but they're going to get +2 to 8 because they're in full cover. So that's going to be pretty tough for the Germans, or the French, excuse me, to get them out of there. So it's going to be firing on the 2 to the 8. So it's going to start out with a base of 78 just to get a suppression, and an 04 to get a kill. Now with modifiers, I don't think we have too much. We have one important one though. We have the +10 for the coax down here. It's coax fire, but we do get a -5 for being French. So it's going to be +5 only. So that means my numbers that actually I'm going to have to roll are going to be modified slightly. So it's going to be 73 and a 99. So it's a 99 for an effective and 73 for suppression. So let's see what we get. Whoa, there's 100. It's an effective. The first shot was effective. That's pretty crazy. All right, so he is he's reduced, and he's also suppressed. There's the suppressed. There we go. All right, so that was pretty wild that the first shot actually hit and scored. Now it did hit a building there too, and it did get an effective roll. So I'm going to roll this again to see if it actually rubbles the building. If I roll another effective shot with that, then it'll rubble the building. Oof, that's pretty darn close. That's pretty darn close. 95. So they didn't get the effective. That just raises it to 100. Remember, I need to 104 or the modified 99. So that's a miss on the building, but pretty close. He must have hitting a good spot on the building. All right, so we've got 2 shots here. So there's another H-38 that's going to take a shot at him. Get a 76. Modified to a 73. Now that's a suppression, but he's already suppressed, so it's effectively no problem. But the French fire was pretty darn accurate for this. So a couple things here. I'm going to flip that to move now, and I'm going to change their spot now to fire. There we go. All right, so now coming back the other way. Oh boy. I just found a mistake here. Shoot. So for modifiers, we have a +10 for the coax, and then we have a -5 for being French 2-man turret, and then we have a -15 for the short halt. So that gives us a total of -10 on our DRMs. So when we look at this, it actually becomes an 88 for a suppression and 114 for an effective. So 114 is pretty much off the table, and the 88 will be the number for suppression. So let's take some shots. So first shot, 97. That's a hit. So they actually suppress them. So that's actually pretty good. So they're going to take a suppressed hit. And then the second shot, 64. All right. It really didn't make any sense to have the second shot because they've already been suppressed, but we'll take it anyways. So we'll do a little cleanup over here, change them to move, and change them to spot fire. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the firing. So they suppress the units in there. They'll still be able to shoot back at them. And why don't we do that one first? So that's going to be suppressed infantry. So our German infantry, if we take a look at them, they will be shooting on leg units. Here we go. Their rifle squad, 1 away, so it's point blank. So it's going to be 9 for the GP firepower. So it's going to be on a 9. And against the French tanks, and we'll shoot at the top tank, the H-38 is actually a 2A, so it's 2. Its defense factor is 2, but it's armored, so it's going to get a -20 at least when we're on here. So let's go over to our charts, and we had said they're going to be 9 on 2, so that's a 23 and a 56. Now that seems pretty easy to get a hit, but they're modified quite a bit. So let's first take a look. 1, that they're moving, so there's going to be a -10. And then they're going to be a target type A vehicle, so another -20, so that makes -30 on there. They are not in any cover. They're not towed, there's not short halt. Shooter's not damaged, but shooter is suppressed, so there's another -20, so we're up to -50 on the DRMs. Shooter's not broken, there's no smoke, it's not Overwatch, there's no ammo limits, overrun, or anything like that. So it's going to be -50. So all of a sudden this 23 rockets up to a 73 and 106. So effective fire is essentially gone, but really the only thing that we can do is suppress them anyways. So it's going to require us to get a 73 or greater to get an effective hit. So let's take a look. 26. That's a miss. Alright, so they fired and missed. Delete that and change them to a small arm spotted. Okay, so that takes care of our infantry over here. Now we've got our Panzer 3F. Now they're at a range of 3. Alright, let's take a look at their card. So that's a Panzer 3F. 3F, here we go. Range of 3, so that's going to be short range. All right. They're going to hit on the front side if they do score a hit. So let's go back to our charts. And so they're going to be short range. Target size, well, the H-38 is a -1, so they drop down to a 63. Target is moving, so there's 2 more. Drops down to a 49. No cover. We are firing short halts as a -4. That really brings them down to 21 now. Shooter's damage, suppressed, no, no. Broken, no. Smoke, no, no. Overwatch, no. Ammo limit, no. Transport fire, okay. So we're actually going to be hitting very low odds, about 21% chance of a hit. So we'll be firing at, again, this time we'll do for the bottom because I didn't specify him to be firing at the top. So we'll be firing at the bottom unit here. It needs a 21 or less. 31, close, but no hit. Alright, so he flips over to a move. Okay, good. So those are our fires. Little effective on the French. So now it's the move. So this is where I took the first initiative on this. So with the moving, what I'm going to do is this. Let's actually shrink this down a little bit and zoom in ever so slightly. And now take a look at our moves. Now, my first move, I'm going to do my big one here first, which is going to be the Hanamag over here. Move this off, and he is actually going to turn down here and move into this hex for 2 points through the alley, and then he's going to bail out, or dismount, I should say. It's not bailing out, but dismounting the other one here. I'll change him to 103, and dismount this other infantry over here and drop him in the victory hex and capturing that. I'm going to spin him around there so he faces that way. All right, remember you can do that. So it's 2, and then it's going to be 2 to dismount, half the movement. So very effective, dismounting here, because they can bail out right into there and actually occupy those buildings very effectively. I'll go into full cover here when we go to the adjust phase, and that'll make them very tough to get out of there. But I've got them kind of blocked in there in terms of what they can do here. So that takes care of that move over here. And I've got 2 more moves. I've got these guys over here. I'm not sure yet. I am sure what I am going to do with this guy over here. So I'm going to actually move him forward 1. Oops, lost his turret. Like that. And then he's going to, actually I'm going to leave the turret back there for a moment. Swing him this way for 2, and then rotate him back there with his turret staying as is. So there's no turret rotation at this point. And now he's got a nice flank shot if they stay there on either the infantry or the H-39s as part of the next attack. So we'll delete that. Or he could go after the machine guns moving up here as well. So he's in a really good position. Tough for the French to do anything about. And that's one thing you see with the French. French are very tough armored units, but their performance is lacking, and we see that through their turret rotation and just what they can and cannot do. All right, so my last thing here is these 2 other tanks up here, the Panzer IIIFs. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do because they'll be moving here as well, but I'll kind of make a snap decision on this. I think what I'm going to do, because if I move them out of there, the French are potentially try to move in there with their moves with what I've got. So I think I'm just going to leave them be there. Should have probably put them as an overwatch, but again, I did not know at that point. That's part of the fun of the not knowing and having to make decisions about this. Is I was hoping I may be able to move them down here and get some flank shots as well, but now that the situation is known of how the moves are going to be, I think I'm just going to leave them right there. So they're not actually going to do anything, not even going to move out of the hex. That's perfectly legal. We'll just leave them there to kind of block in the French from capturing any hex. I've got the whole town now, by the way, and I should actually put a control marker up here, just like that, just to say that I control it. Okay, let's move on to the French move. So with the French movement, what we'll do, let's start down here with these heavy machine guns that are going to move. Let's see where they're going to move and how they're going to move. So the first roll is going to be their direction, and then that was a 6. Yeah, okay. And the second one is going to be the route they take. All right, so let's look at their charts over here. So 6 is going to be the greatest cover, and 7 is going to be down to 6 because they're cautious, is going to be the fastest route. So they're going to go into the greatest cover, fastest route. So in this case, it's pretty simple. It's the fields right here. That's the greatest covers because that will keep them with less spotting, so it may be a little bit trickier for them to be seen by this tank up here to be shot at. Same thing for these tanks up here to be shot at there as well. So I'm just going to delete that. There we go. All right, so they're taken care of. Let's take a look at the these H-39s right here in Y8. Let's see what they're going to do. So we're going to roll dice to see their direction. 86, and the route is going to be a 1. So 86 is going to be minus 10 because they're cautious. So that goes down to 76. So that's going to be highest value VP hex. Highest value VP hex. And their route, we said, is going to be 1. It's going to be safest. So, they're blocked from going into there, but this is where we're going to come into one other aspect I'm going to introduce now, which is going to be the possibility of an overrun. Because I've got infantry up here, they potentially could overrun the infantry that are in this hex. This is a victory hex. It's a high victory point hex, so it's completely legitimate. Now, we do have it saying the safest route. Now, obviously, overrun is not the safest route when we go into here, but there's no other route. If I go over to try to capture some of these other empty victory hexes over here, that's going to be exposed here as well to the Panzer IIIFs, because they've only got 3 movement points, so they would have to move 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2. Either way, they would still be in some sort of dangerous situation. They could move this way, 1, 2, 3, again, being exposed to fire from the infantry and the Hanemags over here. Not this turn, of course, but could be sometime here in the future, which that's not a bad route, kind of moving back around here and then potentially, going after the tanks up here. But he's definitely got to go towards a victory hex. And I'm thinking here now that's not a bad route because that actually gets them over here, and safest we could just stop them here at this point, and they could again form up and shoot at these guys. So actually, let's take that move. That looks like going to be our best bet. Let's move our turret off of here for a moment, and we're gonna. I want to get both of them there. There we go. There we go. They're going to turn, move 1 into there, and then 2 into there, and then turn back. Now their turret is facing that direction still. See, that's where they started from. Now I could move 3 up here, but that would put them in a dangerous situation because potentially the tank could swing around and fire at them as well. So they're gonna pause right there just because it's the safest location. The infantry obviously is going to be a threat, but they're suppressed, so the threat is reduced. And also they could be attacked by the Hanemag. So this kind of gives them, again, closer into the hexes, the victory hexes, but not in a dangerous situation. They will potentially move their turret, and they can only go one direction. Oops, come on. Let's move him that way. There we go. And they'll just move them forward. So it's facing forward over there. Now another thing that they're going to do is I'm actually going to have them button up. They're close to infantry here and a lot of close firing over here. So we're going to have them button up just so they don't get the extra damage from being so close to infantry firing on them. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Good. And now we'll go to the short hull tank right here and let's see what they do. So that's 58 and 2. So they're going to be safest route again. But this time 58 minus 10 makes it 48. So it's going to be nearest victory point hex. Safest nearest victory point hex. So safest. All right, overrun is not safe. Nearest are these two hexes, but are both occupied by units that are not really that safe. So the next line is kind of over here behind. Again, they're not really that safe either, because we've got the Panzer IIIs over there, and we've got a Panzer III over there, but we do have a half track up there. So again, the question is, does he actually move, or do we just let them sit there and maybe just rotate the turret? Because then he could fire on this unit right here. That might be the best action I could take. So why don't we do that? We're going to just add a turret counter over here. French turret. There we go. And it's going to rotate that way. And delete that. And that'll be it. So in this case, using some judgment in terms of what's going to be the best approach on here, really can't get into any victory point hexes, but I'm taking the safest route by staying there and actually, going to take a shot at these guys, maybe suppress them here as well. Because the next big thing is I got two moves down here with infantry to try to get in and maybe close assault hand-to-hand attack these guys while the tanks support them. So now let's go with the infantry here and see what they're going to do. So they're going to roll 100 and then 2. So they rolled a 92, which is going to be -10, which is going to be 82, which is going to be highest victory point hex. And they rolled a 10 down to 9, and they want to take a direct route. All right. So in this case, they want to take a direct route from this hex. Now, these are the two hexes we've got. The most direct route is through one of these two hexes, either AA7 or Z8. That's going to be the most direct route. Now let's take a quick peek at our movement chart about going over hedgerows. So here's our hedgerows. So it's just +1 to the leg unit to go over the hedge. Only certain units can cross. Yes, these guys can. It's only bicyclists and motorcycles and cavalry, I think, that can't go over hedgerows. But the infantry can with just a +1. So basically they'd use all their movement to go into one of these two hexes off of there. Now if I go up into this hex, it's going to be a direct route, but I'm only going to be able to be shot at by these guys over here who are suppressed. So that would be kind of a safe route. So I think I'm going to take that. Otherwise, going in here, these guys can shoot on them next turn before they actually get into hand-to-hand and possibly do some damage even before they get into hand-to-hand. So I think we're going to take all of these guys and just move them up. Ooh, I don't want to do that. Hold on here. Undo. There we go. Break them apart here and take them one at a time, and then there we go. We're going to move them into there with those other tanks. So that gets them cover too, because they're in light cover, running behind those tanks there. So pretty close attack here forming up for some hand-to-hand on the next turn. Okay, that gets rid of one move. And then the other one is these H-38s. Let's see what they're going to do. They're doing an 89 and an 8. 89 minus 10 gives me 79 highest point value, and then I can't remember what the number was. 8 down to 7 for being cautious. So they're going to go victory point, highest victory point hex, 7, fastest route. Fastest route. Okay. So let's see. They're going to fastest route to a victory point hex. So I think what they're going to do is turn. There's a turn for free turn. And then they're going to go 1 down to here, and then free turn again this way. And then 2, and then free turn again like that. So that gets them as close as they can get, but now they can provide fire support onto that hex, kind of try to suppress them, try to work them over a little bit while the other infantry over here attacks as well. All right, now this is kind of interesting because now this gets them away from what I was trying to trap them for. So I'm in a little bit of pinch here because I was trying to get a shot on them, but they've moved away, you know, for that. So I'm in a little bit of a pinch with that. So anyways, that ends our movement phase with that. Move that up. So now we move to our adjustment phase here, which is going to be pivoting, turrets, full cover, and suppressions, because we've got a few suppressions on there. So turrets. With my turret over here, I think I'm good. I don't have much. I'm probably gonna have to shoot at heavy machine guns there next turn. These guys who had the move counter, which actually can come off now. That's an interesting one because they're going to take shots over there. If I sign it up over there. Actually, I think they're good, so I don't think I need to change any turrets. For the French, everybody's pointed towards the Germans, so that's good. So I think the turrets are in good shape. Next is going to be the full cover, definitely going to happen here. Remember, the French will not go into full cover in this phase. They will actually be part of their orders phase if they will go into full cover. My guy here will go into full cover. Actually, I got to get the marker up of here, don't I? Markers, full cover. Here we go. And we'll rotate that around. Okay. So he'll go into full cover. That'll get him some bonus here again. So one other little cleanup thing here. These guys they move, so they'll go back to a spot move. Okay, so that's it. And next thing is the suppression, which we have over here, which will reduce to suppression off. They're still suppressed, but now it's suppression off. And that should do it to end the third turn. So, very interesting. We've seen some engagement here. We've seen a little bit of shooting. Seen how the French have actually responded actually fairly well against my Germans. But the Germans have really dug into the town and are really holding out as much as they can here and really staking their claim. Now, we still have my tanks to maneuver around to try to go after their tanks and other units, but it looks like they're going to have a good chance to assault the town in the next turn. I'm going to have to figure out some sort of defense for that, but it looks like it's going to be slim in terms of how that's going to occur. So anyways, we'll take a look at that. I'll clean up the board and then get back with a fourth turn.